Thank you for joining me today. We'll be talking about tasks on Antly and how to use it. Um, I'll walk you through what this page is. There are two ways to view tasks. You can view them as lists or through the calendar object, through the calendar view here. Then you can also filter tasks by assigned to me, which are tasks that have been assigned to you. A task can be assigned to you by the system itself when it's based on an automation or by a specific individual. The own tasks are tasks that you've assigned to other people. You have, assigned to my teams. So this would be tasks assigned to teams that you belong to. And then you can filter by any of those specific teams. So if you belong to a HR team and a business development team, for instance, you could just filter by any of the teams that you belong to. All tasks shows all tasks within the system, and this is only limited to administrators. And you can also view tasks by the status, to do, in progress, done, and cancelled. Yeah, let's go back to list. And again, it's very important to know that there are two ways you can create a task. You can create a task in sort of like this generic page, which means that the task is generic. That's more useful for things that are not associated to a specific object. So imagine you wanted to, assign something generic to staff. Let's go ahead and create an example. And while we're doing that, I'll walk you through all of that as well. So let's say I want to create a task that says upload all legacy users to Antly, and under the description I have all legacy users from our drive. Please ensure all documents CSVs included. So also very good to note that there are two ways to there are two ways to create a task. It could be a fixed deadline task, meaning there's just a base deadline to it. In a case like this, I think a fixed deadline will work more. You also have appointment tasks where you can set a start time and end time to it. For the fixed deadline task, let's say we want this to be done by Friday, 3 p.m. on Friday. And then you can also assign a task to a team or to a specific user. In this case, I'll just assign it to a specific user. You can also set a priority of the task. If it's critical, high, normal, or low. Well, I'll leave it as high for now. And then you could check if you want it to be recurring. In this case, I don't want it recurring, so I'm just going to go ahead and save the test. You can also upload documents, by the way, for the tasks. So once you do that, I think if I come to assign to me, because I assigned it to myself, so I can see that the task is assigned to me and it's due in 4 days. To open that task, you can click on that. You can set the task in progress, mark as complete, or delete the task. Again, this will only depend on the current user you're on. Since I created the task, or since the task was assigned to me, I have these two active, and since I created it, I have delete task. So typically, you wouldn't be able to delete a task that you didn't create. Okay, now in this table, it's good to note that we don't have any linked association because this task is more generic and it's not specific or tied to any specific object. But it's another way to create a task. So let's go to assets. So I have a couple of assets, or one asset I've created in here. I could go to the task part of that assets. I have nothing here assigned to me on that specific asset. But let's imagine that we wanted to do some maintenance on this asset. So I can just come here and click on or enter, create a new asset called equipment maintenance. Please update the antivirus installation on this laptop, something like that. You know what? In this instance, I'm going to make it a fixed. I'm going to make it an appointment type, and let's say it's for tomorrow between 600 and 5:30. Just so the user knows this is the time that we'll be expecting that laptop to be to be updated. So I can do that, and I'll click on save. And the moment that's done, yeah, we can see that, but you can see that it's automatically associated this asset or the task to this particular asset. So anytime you come to this asset, you can actually see all the tasks there. Now, if I went back to all my task, all tasks, you can see that I can still see all, but I can easily see that this is associated to a specific asset, which I can click and jump into straight. So yeah, that's pretty much how to create tasks to specific assets. Let's do the next one, which is more for it's more that you can do to a task. So if you notice in this task, all we've just done is enter the title and the description. Assuming we wanted something a bit more specific, maybe for medications, I wouldn't want to say, please issue 5 or 2 tablets of paracetamol to this patient. Paracetamol, sorry, to the patient. So this is one way to do this. But there's a better way to handle this that makes it a bit easier to read all of this, and that is where task categories come in. We could create a category of a task called, let's create a category called medication. I'll call it medication administration. And I'll just leave the description blank. Let's give it a red color. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a medication detail. So we're literally building a form that will be part of the task itself, but one will have to select this specific type to get there. So let's say in this form, the first thing we want to do is enter the name of medication. Again, I've selected that as a simple text box. And let's create another text box again, and let's call this medication dosage. Right. All right, let's go back to my tasks. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to create a special task for medical administration. So let's call it medication administration or minister medicine. Again, typically this would be tied to a specific object. Maybe if you have a patient object, for instance, you might want to tie this, but yeah, for this test, we wouldn't do that. We'll just go ahead and create a administer medicine to this patient. And yeah, I'll make this an appointment as well. It just seems to make sense more that way. Let's say this is an afternoon time appointment. Let's make this by 12. So between 12 and 1, we want to make sure that this is done. But the good thing here is that we now have this. So this has popped up because we've added in task category. So we can now select medication administration. And now we have the name of the medicine that we can put in there. So we can say paracetamol. And let's say 2 tablets. That's the dosage. And yeah, we can also make this daily. So maybe every 1 day or every 2 days we can do that. So, but yeah, I'll just leave it as 1 day and save. And that's it. We now have medication to be administered to the patient that would be occurring every day by 12 p.m. But with specific detail now, which if you go, you can then see that the specific detail for that particular task. So once this is done, it's supposed to be marked as complete. This can then be read into a report. You can use to generate any type of document that you want. But yeah, that's how tasks work on Antly. Thank you.